Well, hello, good evening and welcome to the program. This is Daily Politics on Trust TV. I'm Abdullahi Ahmed. Thank you most kindly for joining us. Tonight on the program, we put the spotlight on the politics of the day and how it is shaping the national conversation, especially around key issues that has got a lot of people talking about the state of Nigeria's democracy. The recent allegations around a perceived military coup and the counter narrative from the military and the federal government has got a lot of people talking. And the opposition political parties are also voicing their thoughts, saying that this appears to be the excuse. According to the ADC, the government needs to further unleash some of its attacks on opposition figures. The recent attacks in parts of the south, especially in Ekiti State, on the offices or Secretariat of the African Democratic Congress has led the party to believe that the APC-led administration is targeting political parties in the opposition as 2027 draws near. How much of these allegations are based on facts and evidence, and how much of it are based on speculations as the narrative continues to shape the minds and opinions of Nigerians against the backdrop of 2027. Well, we'll get right down to the issues as well as what they mean for Nigerians, especially as the political arena continues to heat up. But first things first, here's the latest with a political roundup of the news making the rounds.
The African Democratic Congress has cautioned the federal government against using alleged coup reports to clamp down on opposition voices. National Publicity Secretary of the party, Bolaji Abdullahi, warned that exploiting the rumored coup for political gain could endanger democracy and citizens' freedoms. His warnings came after reports that the Defense Intelligence Agency arrested several officers, from captain to brigadier general, over alleged secret meetings to overthrow President Tinubu's administration. President Bola Ahmed Tinubu has nominated Dr. Bernard Mohamed Doro from Plateau State as Minister of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. According to his spokesman, Bayo Onanuga, the nomination letter was sent to the Senate for screening and confirmation. Dr. Doro is expected to replace Professor Nantawe Goshwe Iwasda, who became the APC national chairman in July. Tension gripped Ado-Ekiti after suspected political thugs set ablaze the ADC state secretariat in the Basari area of the city. The early morning attack destroyed chairs, canopies, and equipment prepared for the inauguration of party executives. Hours later, the attackers regrouped and stormed the venue of the planned event, firing shots and dispersing party members and journalists. Akuje Magistrate Court has remanded Prince Emmanuel Kanu, brother of detained IPOB leader Nnamdi Kanu, alongside his lawyer, Alo Ejimako. Their detention was disclosed by Kanu Takanu on X, who alleged a coordinated effort by government institutions to frustrate Nnamdi Kanu's trial set for Thursday.
Right, time now to double down on today's conversation. Part of that would be a focus on some of the attacks that many believe are politically motivated, especially as the conversations around 2027 continues to inundate the polity of the day. Well, joining me tonight for an in-depth analysis on the issues and why the ADC believes that the APC administration is targeting opposition figures as well as opposition parties is Dr. Ibrahim Mani, who is an ADC chieftain, to help us understand why the ADC believes it is one of those political parties that has been targeted by the APC administration. Doctor, it's good to see you again. Thank you so much for stopping by this evening.
Thank you very much for having me.
Right, now, Nigerians obviously feel a certain way when it comes to political narrative because they believe that politicians would say anything to get a desired outcome by making people believe certain things. Some of the things the ADC has been saying recently regarding the alleged military coup, for instance, is that not adding fuel to the fire, because the defense headquarters has been very clear about what is actually going on the inside. And the federal government has doubled down to say, listen, there is no cause for alarm. There is no need for Nigerians to worry about a military takeover. What is happening is an internal look at certain violations that the military is handling already. Why is the ADC adding fuel to this fire?
Okay, thank you very much for having me. Like every Nigerian is aware, the story of the alleged coup broke out on Saturday. It wasn't a statement by ADC per se. It was a story that was widely covered by a lot of the media outlets. And before we all know anything, details were just flying everywhere. And the story kept on evolving over the next 24 to 48 hours. And then more details started coming. So as Democrats that we are in the African Democratic Congress, naturally we should be worried that such tendencies are coming up at this stage of our national life, of our democratic life as a country. So we didn't just start singing the narrative about a coup. We picked the lines as it was widely reported, and as concerned players and stakeholders in the democratic process, we should naturally be concerned that such a development is coming up at this stage in our democratic process. So the party is doing what it ought to do by reacting to such developments. Of course, as a political party and maybe one of the likely victims if there were to be a coup in the country, we have every reason to react to stories of possible allegations of military officers wanting to topple the government. So I think our reactions are rightly justified for this reason.
Yeah, but some have questioned the motivation of the ADC when it comes to your commentary about this perceived attempted military coup. I mean, you don't know all the facts, but you seem to hold a very strong position about it, just going by media reports.
Yes. So we know that there is no smoke without fire. We know that going by what George Owens wrote in his book in 1984, that official denial is necessarily a confirmation. And so...
Not in all cases, you would agree.
Yes, but under this circumstance, the way the story evolved and the names that were coming up, the circumstance, the fact that certain things happened prior, you know, there were events that were supposed to have taken place, like the parade on the Independence Day on the 1st of October, that was cancelled and no reason was given. And now that we are getting the story coming to say this is why it was cancelled. So it's easy for you to see how this story has evolved over this period, as it were. And of course, for whatsoever reason, you will expect that the government, out of maybe embarrassment or fear or security concerns or whatsoever it is, will try to manage the story, as it were. But we are concerned because of the fact that it's clear that this coup is being linked to people whose names have not been mentioned and who are also of the political class. For instance, there are stories that part of the people involved are a former governor and maybe a serving governor. We want every fact about this case to be made very clear. When the facts are not clear, when certain stories are kept secret and too confidential in that sense, then if anybody wants to use it for mischief reasons to want to clamp down on perceived enemies or people who are in opposition, then they are preparing the grounds for that.
Yeah, but where is that concern coming from, Doctor? Because from last week to this particular week, the ADC's concerns have not been based on any real evidence, especially when you talk about a possible political witch hunt. Has anybody been politically witch hunted over this particular issue?
No, we're looking at the precedents. We're looking at what has been happening since the unveiling of this party. We've been at the receiving end of this political violence that has been happening over time now for the last couple of months. Our party members have been attacked in Abuja. Party members have been attacked in Kaduna. It has happened in Kebbi. And just a few days back, the Ekiti episode happened. So we are an endangered species when it comes to...
You would go as far as describing it as such?
Yeah, because
endangered species?
Yes, I am a naturalist. I know what I'm talking about. Right. When you're constantly on the threat, then you are endangered. It means that if nothing is done and no measures are taking place, and we continue receiving these attacks, we definitely will suffer huge and great consequences at that. We need to be given those assurances that whatsoever people that are behind those attacks don't use the opportunity of this alleged coup to want to have more reasons to continue attacking our party, because there seems to be a trend over the last couple of months. And it's not restricted to maybe a particular region or individual or candidates, or which we don't even have at the moment. But it seems as if anywhere we want to exercise our freedom in a democratic setting to gather or to have our meetings or rallies or flag-offs or unveilings, we get attacked. And so this is our fear. Yeah. And they were doing that for no reason. What if they have now created a reason to clamp down on us? So we definitely are afraid. We are.
There are supporters of the administration, government officials and party officials of the APC who, in response to what the ADC has had to say, have described the position and the narrative of the ADC akin to the boy who cried wolf. That you are greatly exaggerating whatever concerns you may have because you have not shown evidence as to why you believe this concern of yours is a reasonable conclusion to reach. I mean, you talk about isolated incidents, but if you zoom out and you consider all the activities of the ADC and the activities of opposition political parties, yes, the attacks were unacceptable. Some people were harmed in Kaduna, in Kebbi, in the Ado Ekiti incident with the burning of the ADC secretariat. But it is not as bad as the ADC is painting it to look.
Yeah, you see, to say that these cases are isolated, I think is a way of watering down what is happening. We are not supposed to experience any attack at all in the first place, because there hasn't been any case of violence that has been attributed to members of our party or even our supporters against any other political party in Nigeria. We just came up and said we are coming together in order that we form a credible opposition, which was almost lacking prior to the formation of the coalition, in order that Nigerians are given an alternative platform for them to see if, for any chance, there are credible candidates being presented for elections under this platform, then they will have a choice between whosoever the incumbents are and the candidates of the coalition party, which is clearly the opposition party in Nigeria today. And that has been seen as a major crime. We have so many ways that I can narrate here that they have used in order to muzzle us, in order to intimidate us. It's not only the attacks. Before the attacks started, they've used all sorts of subtle and legal and quasi-legal means in order to disrupt us. That didn't work.
Do you want to provide some context to those attempts?
Yeah, of course. Some members of our party were given the impetus and were given some kind of support. We know where those supports were coming on to go to court and challenge the emergence of the leadership of the coalition. Some of them have even gone to court to ask the Independent National Electoral Commission not to recognize the new leadership of the party that has emerged. And we still have a lot of cases in the courts. And when you look at the character, I mean, the caliber of people who are instituting these cases, we know them, and we know that on their own, they wouldn't be doing that. We know they are sponsored. And the only person, the only structure that can sponsor them definitely are those who felt that the ADC is a threat to them. And of course, that can be translated to mean those in the helms of affairs. We have not had it very smoothly. We've been thrown with all sort of spanners and all creating various forms of hurdles for us from July till date.
Right.
So it is clear that based on what we have been suffering and based on what we have been going through, and the fact that the violence is becoming more and more evident, then for a coup to be alleged to have been planned or whatsoever, or happened or truncated or squashed or whatsoever it is, and the details are not coming, and you hear
when you
names.
say details, what exactly do you want the government to say regarding this particular issue? Because the Defense Headquarters was very categorical about it when the Deputy Director of Information, General Gusau, laid bare the facts of the matter about the arrest and the investigations underway. And then the federal government doubled down to say this is their position on this, because that was the concern of your National Publicity Secretary when
Yes.
he said Nigerians deserve an answer.
Yes.
Why are you not satisfied with the explanations given so far? It's as if you're fishing for something.
Yes, so I want you to understand something. This thing has been there for more than 48 hours before some of these statements are coming. It doesn't take this long for clarifications to come. An opposition party like ADC doesn't have to make noise for the government to come out and say, this is the position of things.
Are you necessarily saying they're reacting to you?
What else do you make of this?
I mean, everybody is concerned about it.
Okay,
right?
so if everybody is concerned about it, we are seeing it more from a position of something that can be used against us, because the details were not there. And if the government is coming out clearly to say that this is the position, then ultimately we as a party will expect that no more reference to this will be made moving forward, and it gives us a rest of mind. But where names have been, where positions, not names, are being attributed or are being linked to the whole thing, and some of the names are actually of people that are supposed to be in the political class, you don't expect, for instance, let's say an APC governor. Let's speak hypothetically now. Let's say there is actually an attempt, and maybe a serving governor is involved. Naturally, you wouldn't expect that the serving governor should be from the ruling party. It's likely going to be somebody who is not from the ruling party, who may not be sympathetic to the ruling party, who may not be supportive of the ruling party. And where are all those people that are not sympathetic or supportive of them? They are with us.
But you also have to admit that historically speaking,
Yes.
looking at Nigeria's history with military interregnums, with military takeover, there are so many cases that we can point to where political figures played a significant role in influencing a military takeover in this country. So it's not far-fetched to assume that there are some key political figures that if at all there was a military plot, there was a plot to take over the government, that it's not far-fetched to believe that there are some political figures who would benefit from it happening.
Yeah, so we're able to know political figures that have participated in military coups, particularly those that have succeeded. And a clear case is in mind is 1983. Right from the fact that MKO Abiola was dissatisfied with the outcome of the NPN presidential primaries in 1982 that led to the 1983 elections, it was to nobody's surprise that MKO Abiola teamed up with his friends in the military to topple Shagari's government because he was not happy with what happened in MPN. So you can always see the linkage, which further betrays what I'm talking about, that if politicians are going to, of course, they sometimes do connive with the military to stage coups. If they are going to participate in the coup, it's likely that this will be politicians who are not part of the government that is being toppled. Right. So if they don't name who those politicians are, for any reason, people who are perceived as threats or part of a strong voice of opposition can easily be roped in. And that is the position of our party.
Yeah, but who stands to benefit? Who stands to benefit, Doctor? It's definitely not going to be APC if, God forbid, something of a military takeover happens. It won't be people from the APC because they're already in power. And I reckon that they do not want a takeover.
Yes.
So it then doesn't make any sense that the ADC would be the one crying foul, because the people on the opposition side would naturally be suspect if at all these connections are to be made. I mean, you just cited the example.
Yes, so that's the example I'm giving you. As far as we're concerned, the fact that the news came out, the military denied it, and there was no clear statement from the government, that was when we raised our concerns. We as Democrats, we don't support any violent or any non-violent takeover of government. We strongly believe that for the fact that we have gone this 26 years of continuous civilian rule, the democratic process in Nigeria is getting matured and strengthened. And we strongly believe that the only way you can change any government in this country has to be through the ballot papers, has to be through the ballot box, has to be through an election process. And that is why we're making this effort to want to change this government through the democratic processes. So if there is actually a coup and the government is keeping quiet about it, or details are not coming out about it, and names are being thrown here and there to show that people in the political class are involved, then we have every reason to worry. Yeah. Like I've said, we don't support a military takeover. We don't. And we don't think it's right, and we don't think that this country should go back to these days of military rules because of the fact that it comes with a lot of setbacks and negative consequences. Most Nigerians that are below 35 years will never have heard of any military takeover or coup. But we grew up at a period that the coups were rampant in this country. We grew up in a period of military rule, and we knew what that entails. And for God's sake, we prefer a credible process of change of governments or regimes through the electoral process, through the ballot boxes, through the will and the wishes of the people, than through the barrel of the gun. This is our position as a party.
There are some people who are scratching their heads, saying that the ADC is acting skittish, that you're overly invested in a situation you have very little information about. You're going with media reports. You don't have your own sources. And you're saying the government should tell you more in less than 48 hours when you know that the authorities involved have to painstakingly do their due diligence on this matter. And it might take a couple of weeks, it might take a couple of months before any sort of information trickles to the public, because that's the nature of situations like this, isn't it? Don't you think you're overly invested in this?
Yes. So come to think of it, from the initial reports that that we got, that means the stories that first came out, this coup was intended, if it were true, to have taken place on the 1st of October. That's exactly 3 weeks from today. Okay, today makes it like 3 weeks. So if it were thwarted, and that is why all the events and activities of the Independence Day celebrations were cancelled, then it means, yeah, we're speaking hypothetically now. So that means that they have gotten wind of this beforehand. That means they have taken care of it long ago. That means that this arrest that will have taken place, if it is true, will have been done a long time ago. Will have been done, I think, earlier than the 1st of October. And so it is not as if the story broke out instantaneously as the whole thing was happening. The people, if it were true that this thing actually was supposed to happen on the 1st of October, then government knew about it much more earlier, and they took action much more earlier, and that is why they were able to contain it. And so we feel that if it is true, then Nigerians deserve a full disclosure. We cannot be having stories just flying.
You think this is a story that Nigerians need to know about, or something that may or may not have happened?
And you see, in any case, if they don't want Nigerians to know about it, they could have at least kept it under wrap even beyond today. For the stories,
but they had to respond to the media frenzy around this particular issue.
So you see, these are stories that revolve around treason. This is treasonable felony. If the media outlets that started reporting the stories are doing it from, let's say, an unscrupulous and a baseless and a malicious point, then you will have started hearing stories about wanting to prosecute them for causing a breach to national security or creating a disorder in the country. We didn't hear any of that. Like I've said, they have every right to want to manage the information as much as possible, but we started becoming concerned when names started flying that some people in the political class may be involved. And this is where we can now rightly come out to make the statements that we made, because we have been targeted, we have been attacked. We don't want this to be an excuse for further attacks or intimidation of our party, of our members, or anything that will disrupt our activities towards creating an alternative opposition party in Nigeria.
Right. It's fair to say that there is a lot that we don't know. There is a lot we know we don't know about the reality on ground, about what the military defense headquarters is saying or is not saying. However, those concerns remain there as far as public interest is concerned. I want to get your reaction to the defections, because this past couple of weeks have been very interesting, to say the least, about the politics of 2027.
Yes, please.
2 days ago, the national chairman of the All Progressives Congress, Professor Nintawe, during a meeting in Jos, the Plateau State capital, had this to say. He said next week, which presumably is going to be this week, he will be receiving some notable figures from the ADC, some of those who had earlier defected from the People's Democratic Party, PDP, to the ADC, are now set to return to the APC. Your 2 cents on what he means by that. And just out of curiosity, are you one of those people that would be defecting to the APC?
No, I'm not defecting, and I don't think anybody is defecting. We'll live to see it. If he has such names, one will easily expect that they should at least give in some indications of who these people are and when exactly this and at what event and
are you worried?
How, no, we're not.
Is that why you want to know?
No, we're not worried.
Would you be surprised
earlier in the week? Earlier in the week, they've gone around to say that the former governor of Benue State, Gabriel Suswan, His Excellency Gabriel Suswan, has defected to the APC from the ADC, and clearly it's not true. So they can go around names dropping. We don't mind. What we are trying to do is to develop a mass movement in Nigeria. Of course, it will revolve around key individuals, but the most important thing is the people of this country should be able to take ownership of this. Are the people really satisfied with the ongoing? The defections don't really matter because it doesn't change the fortune of our citizens. It doesn't make our lives better. It doesn't improve our quality of living. It doesn't change the fact that people are suffering in this country. It doesn't change the fact that insecurity has bedeviled us. It doesn't change the fact that the level of multidimensional poverty in Nigeria has been like the highest ever under this period. It doesn't change the fact that we present some of the lowest human development indices ever in the history of our country at this present period. So a defection is neither here nor there, so long as it does not in any way change the fortune of our people. And that is what our party is trying to address, to tell the people that irrespective of what the people in the political class are doing in a way and manner, to tell you that you don't really matter and that they will continue doing their things in a normal business as usual fashion. You have a voice. You can use your power, your ballot, your voter's card. You have a right to decide as to who govern you. And we have the same right to also make you understand further that you can demand a free, fair, and a credible electoral process in this country and insist that that is what is given, and through that bring about a regime change, not through coups.
Brings me to the question around double standards when politicians are trying to make a case for their arguments and against the arguments of others. You say defections don't matter in this particular situation.
They don't.
But where would the ADC be without defections?
No,
you are a byproduct of defections.
No, we're not byproducts of defections per se.
I mean, you were. I mean,
no, it's not the same.
Am I right to say over 90% of the people who are making ADC right now seem very interesting are people who defected to the ADC?
No, you see, they are not people who are holding offices and
now you're shifting the goalposts.
Yes,
Doctor.
yes, because that is the truth. People can change. No, defection will mean that you have a party position, an elected position, and you are occupying an elected office in the name of a political party, and then you move from that to another party while still occupying that office. A lot of the people that have joined our party are people who have resigned from wherever party. People have freedom of
political association,
and they are free to move. They are not necessarily defecting. They are coming in to register as members of our party. People can move from one party to the other. Defection is when you still carry a mandate on your shoulder.
Are you saying there's nobody in government today, whether it's in the parliament, who joined the ADC after the coalition moved there? Are you saying that there's nobody in government today?
The people that are likely going to come into ADC much more later may fall into this category. But the people we have now, particularly those critical stakeholders and the people that have made up the National Working Committee and the National Executive Committees, are not office holders in other parties coming into ADC. They are not.
I mean, Doctor, I'm sure you're familiar with the expression, what is good for the goose is good for the gander. So I mean, if defection is good for you, why is it not good for the APC?
No. We never called them defectors into our party.
What are they?
They are coalition partners.
But what have they effectively done?
No,
if they left a political party to join your political party, isn't that by definition defection?
No, it's not every movement that is a defection. I've tried to explain it to you now.
Right. So if you're in government, it's defection?
Yes, because you have a mandate. Constitutionally, you are in that office as a member of a party that presented you as a candidate.
I'm sure constitutionally speaking, legally speaking, defection just has one legal meaning.
Maybe you check and see what I'm telling you about. As far as we're concerned, we come together as coalition partners, not as defectors from other parties to ADC. That wasn't what happened. We came together as coalition partners to form a coalition, a group of people who are trying to promote a common cause. And the common cause is to create an alternative political platform in Nigeria. Like I always said, what was the trend before the formation of ADC? We're moving towards a one-party state. That's not healthy.
Were
we? We were.
I mean, we had one of the most diverse national assemblies after 2023.
Yes, I said we were moving. Because if you look at
Some would say, if that is your argument, we still are. I mean, APC has more governors now, more legislators. I mean, earlier in the day, the House of Representatives welcomed another member of the People's Democratic Party to the fold of the APC. I mean, they're very close to getting to third in the House of Representatives. They've already secured that in the Nigerian Senate. And they have more than 2/3 already of the governors in the country.
Yes, so that as it may be, what we're saying here is very simple, that even with that happening, there is still a platform that has been made available for people to express their alternative views. This is what ADC stands to represent today. If ADC were not there, with the fact that they have decimated the People's Democratic Party, they have scattered the Labour Party.
Are you ruling out PDP? Because PDP, I was speaking to Alhaji Umar Sani, which I like to believe that you're familiar with him, who still believes that the PDP is the main opposition party in this country. Why are you trying to leapfrog the PDP?
Why are they attacking the ADC if they're the main opposition?
Who is attacking the ADC exactly?
The PDP. Why are they attacking
the PDP? I've actually never heard the PDP talk about the ADC. But do you believe the PDP and the APC are both attacking you?
Who is the biggest? Who are the biggest names in PDP today? Maybe the Minister of the Federal Capital Territory.
I mean, you talk about elitism when you talk about defections, but you also want to make that same case for your
No.
Movement. Is your movement about elites?
No. It's not necessarily that way. There are indications which are likely people are looking at it as a possibility that a lot of elements, even within the PDP, will eventually come and join the coalition. Now, this is not the case of defection per se. Like I've told you earlier, when you come into a coalition, you're coming for a common cause, and you believe in certain principles, and you're pursuing the same goals. You're not moving with a mandate of the people and moving from one party to the other. And this is different. And this is the situation where our case differs from that of the government. But what we are saying is that so long as we remain organically linked to the people of this country, and so long as we are in tune with the aspiration of our people, and we give them the opportunity to create an alternative party that they can rally around and look at candidates and vote them to replace those who have created the mess we are facing today, then we're on the right track. And this is what democracy deserves in this country. We cannot muzzle everybody for one reason or the other. I don't want to go into why these defections are happening. A lot of things are being thrown around as reasons why they are moving. But most importantly, what makes multi-party democracy interesting and viable is the fact that people have alternatives, people have options, people have so many different platforms to choose from. In a situation where everything is moving towards creating a single platform that will decimate all the other platforms is not too healthy for a young and a thriving democracy like the one we have in Nigeria.
Some would say, Doctor, given what has been happening in the ADC recently, that you have a lot more problems to deal with internally instead of focusing your attention on external factors. You recently had to suspend one of your vice chairmen because you have concerns about his activities and whether it's actually undermining the ADC. I mean, these are some of the issues that many have raised to say that the ADC is still not yet an organic movement that can survive the rigorous conditions of Nigerian politics. I mean, what do you say to people who still have doubts about the ADC being a real threat in 2027?
You see, it is normal that when you have a formation like the one we have now, that there may be issues trying to settle down. Right now, we have met at the National Working Committee level, and we have agreed that we're going to have transition leadership teams in the zones, in the states, in the local governments, in the wards, and even at the polling station units, so that people can now rally around these people that are coming into the coalition and create a form of a transition leadership leading to the congresses that will happen in a few months. So a lot of this is expected. And mind you, I talked about the issue of having people from without the party, the external forces, trying to create friction for us so that we don't move at the pace that we're trying to move. Now, those are some of the things we are battling with. But you have to fight your wars in all fronts. We cannot say that we are trying to concentrate on our internal issues that we are trying to resolve, and then when external threats come, we don't look at them. You have to be pragmatic under this circumstance and face the issues as they come, and then attack them head on.
Right. And in talking about what the ADC is planning to do regarding facing the PDP, facing the APC in 2027, talk to me about what you make of some of the ideas that have been made public vis-a-vis the Constitution review, as well as some of the electoral amendments that is still underway in the National Assembly. I'm sure you might have heard Senator Ojuzo-Kalu parroting this idea of a single 6-year term as maybe something that is popular with the National Assembly and something that they would love to consider to pass into law as a constitutional amendment. What are your 2 cents about ideas like that and how it may change the dynamics around what is at stake come 2027?
Yeah, so you have to look at any constitutional change based on what merits it presents. Are they doing it for selfish reasons? Are they doing it because they care about the sustainability of democracy or good governance in the country and things like that? And are they really doing it because the people are in support of such attempts and so on? So we have to look at the deeper sense in which some of these things are coming up. We have had all sort of crazy kind of amendments being suggested to the Constitution over time, and a lot of it never came to see the light of the day because of the rigorous processes that are involved in bringing about amendments to the Constitution. But most importantly, even if you can do it, what benefits a constitution should be something that affects the generality or the entirety of the people of the country in the most positive way. And where such things are not the case, then of course our party and all many Nigerians should be out there condemning such moves.
All right. You see how fast the APC is growing it's snowballing into becoming something that the PDP once was in the mid-2000s. A lot of defections, and at least it looks like a behemoth compared to the other political parties. What are your concerns about how big the APC is becoming and what that could actually mean for your political party in 2027?
We are not afraid of the defections that are happening. And
I mean, I'm not just talking about defections. I'm saying the APC is growing bigger.
No, it's only the defections that is giving you that impression.
Right.
Mind you, there was a time when a national chairman of the PDP said that the party will rule Nigeria for 60 years. And within 6 years, they were out of power. So people can do anything they want to do and say whatsoever they want to say. But I can assure you that the people know what they're doing.
Are you saying size doesn't matter?
I don't see the size in one or two people defecting. The size of any political movement is in the people. It's about the people. Are the people defected?
When you consider the incursion of the APC taking more territory than it had before 2023, before 2019, before 2015, some would consider that political progress for a political party that was relatively victorious or dominant in the northern part of the country to now be everywhere across the 6 geopolitical zone as the most dominant political party. You have to admit that their strategy is working.
No, you see, if you take defection of a governor as the defection of the entire state into a party, then I'll agree with you. But you know definitely that that is not the case. The people know what they want. The people are aware of what is happening. The people know that they have been failed at all levels. So the defection is neither here nor there. It doesn't really matter per se. And that is why we are not worried about these defections. We know who will definitely call the shots at the end of the day. It's not those defecting, but it's the people of this country, the voting population in this country, the people that are really at the receiving end of things today.
All right. Where are we with Atiku Abubakar? Where are we with Peter Obi? Where are we with Goodluck Jonathan? Because these three individuals, I mean, Atiku is undoubtedly a part of the ADC movement, a part of the coalition, one of the brains behind the coalition even. Mr. Peter Obi has on multiple occasions expressed his support for what's happening with the coalition and the adoption of the ADC as a platform. Mr. Goodluck Jonathan, the former president, has also met with the current national chairman of the ADC. Where are we with a synergy with all these three individuals who appear to be jostling for the ticket?
Okay, so there are actually more than three of them that we know and I have
Maybe they're the top three. Maybe they're the top three.
Presidential aspirations in our party. I know people have talked about Nasser El-Rufai. I'm sure you have heard. People have talked about Amechi.
Right.
People have talked about Atiku Abubakar, Goodluck Jonathan, to a lesser extent. But most importantly, maybe Peter Obi and his supporters as part of... Yes, they are all in the African Democratic Congress. We're working together with all of them. We're not concerned about their personal and individual ambitions for now. What we are concerned with as a party today is how to build the party structures, create a movement that Nigerians will key into, and in doing that, institute a fair, transparent, and an open process that will be the hallmark of the primaries that the party will hold for a candidate to emerge eventually when we get there. And once that is done in a most acceptable manner, I see all of them rallying around whosoever becomes the candidate of the party and working together for the victory that this country deserves. So right now, we're not talking about individual ambitions. No, we're talking more about building and strengthening and deepening our party.
I mean, in the final analysis, that is what would determine the success or the failure of the ADC, isn't it? But as a final thought, is there a plan to get some of the key figures to sign a pact before 2027? Because this is something that has been speculated, to get a commitment.
I think we have already crossed that bridge.
Right. Are you confirming that they have?
Yes, we've crossed that bridge. Right. There is a clear understanding among them that whosoever emerged, they will rally around that person. Because we know that if that doesn't happen, then the chances of electoral victory will become slimmer.
Right. Something about this is reminiscent of what happened in 2014 with the APC, but I'm sure you don't appreciate some people saying that you're copying the game plan of the APC back in 2014 when they formed that merger. But let's see how this one turns out.
Yeah, history is a teacher.
Dr. Ibrahim, thank you so much for joining the conversation. It's good to see you again. Thank you so much for the analysis.
I appreciate you inviting me.
Right, okay. That is it for tonight's edition of the program. Thank you, Muskali, for joining us on Daily Politics. We'll be back tomorrow for yet another edition of the program. Until next time, I'm Abdullahi Ahmed. Thank you for watching. We'll see you soon.